Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the E-Tims podcast. My name is Desmond, and tonight, so far, only, but not, I was going to say, at the first but not least, for a change, is Hector Bandido, our single man from the suburbs, and by single I mean he's
don't tell the missus I'm fucking single. She's an American.
He's only one who's wanted to turn up tonight. Good evening, Hector.
Do you know what it is, Desi? Dare I say it? We're loyal to the Celtic cause.
I mean, if only the rest of them had your attitude. Monty, as ever, is gallivanting around somewhere. He's in one of his many safe houses. I don't know if he was over watching Ireland's exit from the World Cup campaign. But he did hope to make it, but he's just told Hector he won't be on. And Ralph Malph was journeying up to Scotland, so he did also hope to make it, but he has been diverted one way or other. If he does
hot off the press, Desi, he's messaged the chat. He's not at his caravan yet. Why does that not surprise me?
He's not in a caravan
yet. He's towing a caravan, like Celtic midfield. At least another half an hour, and he may have to miss this one. So it looks like it's just the two of us.
Oh, there we go. It's Bill Smith and Martin. What's his name? That's terrible. I can't remember that.
Martin Kemp?
No, you're showing your age. No. Anyway, so just the two of us, folks. Thank you for bearing with that very long and going nowhere introduction. So we are here. It's the 27th of March. We did not really expect to have a podcast because of the international break, and we just recently did one. But let's be honest, it's been a bit of a clusterfuck since we last had a podcast. So we thought, why bother waiting an extra week or so? Let's just kind of jump on and air all of our grievances. So if you're looking for a pick-me-up podcast, folks, I don't think this will be the place to.
We'll try our best.
You never know. You never know.
Best, right?
Hector and I have been through the mill of the 80s and the 90s, so we've been up and down and all of the other years in between. So we never know. We may find some highlights to laugh at and some hope to find, but at this point in time on my agenda notes, I don't really see much chance. But let's just hope that we can find something to cling on to. Monty, I think, was going to be the way of optimism, Hector, to be honest, right?
Really?
So we'll wait and see if we can find it. Right, so the last time we chatted, it was just after Celtic had completed the 4 away games, which had looked so ominous, and they had managed to have no defeats in those games and had been so impressive, and carried on in the cup, and I got a draw in the league at Ibrox, and we were all very happy and we're all very hopeful, Hector. We could have
wee bits of optimism, Desi. Wee bits of optimism.
So the seeds of optimism had been sown, right? And then it all went a bit pear-shaped, right? So if we just kind of I've been making my notes here, and I had started with the Dundee game, but then we have to backtrack a wee bit. So just to remember. And again, I may have, apologies folks and apologies Hector, I may have some of these notes out of sequence, so feel free, Hector, to remind me that this happened then. But I've got things in here like the Araujo mystery. The man was last seen swinging from an air conditioning pipe in Wunderbar, and then there was a picture of him with a pram, and then he disappeared. It was like something like now you see it, now you don't. It disappeared, and Martin O'Neill, who I will be brutally honest and say, I don't believe Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill says, he's away back to Bournemouth for an injury. Hector, have you any idea what happened there?
The problem as well now is because everything's every minute online, there's somebody gets something, and it takes very little to get the old, what would you say, the old rumour mill going, wouldn't it? A number of different rumours.
God bless Ray Miller.
we all hear them, right? You try to avoid them, but there's always a WhatsApp chat that forwards another WhatsApp, isn't all sorts of stuff. So the latest is apparently is back at Bournemouth, and he is getting seen for an injury. What brought about that injury is to be confirmed, because he played the 90 minutes plus he played the 30 minutes, and he looked as fit as a fiddle when he came off that pitch. In fact, he may have caused an injury by swinging on the bar at Ibrox and also swinging on the bar in the Boozer. So who knows, Desi? But he looked 100%. But apparently, he is in Bournemouth. That is the.
Yes, and apparently he did post again. This social media, who knows? He did post something with I think it was an hourglass and the Celtic badge, and everyone's new this, assuming that as it's only a matter of time. Here we go. Because of course, Hector, there was, as you hinted at there, the rumour always was suddenly, Martin O'Neill and the Celtic management, i.e. the board, were not happy with Araujo and Big Tam, who had the fuck Rangers on his phone. And I honestly don't understand why anyone would care or be upset with that. Because that's exactly the attitude that we've been missing for so fucking long in the team.
But her board would, Desi. And I get why people make up, because people make up, whatever, right? But of all the areas that would take offence to something like that, it'd be the Celtic board, wouldn't it? They're the ones that are like, I know you sit with the old fogies in the main stand, right? But they've got the fogey.
Excuse me, the custodians. The custodians, I think we like to be called.
You sit with the tartan shawl and the fucking flask brigade, right? And they are the leaders of the tartan shawl and the flask. They're the tutters, aren't they? And you can just imagine them, the slightest thing that they think would cause offence to anyone or any team, they would complain about it. So I can understand rumours getting made, but no, I think the guy's obviously got injured. How he got injured, I think, is maybe the question, whether it actually happened on the field or was it some hijinks off the field that night. Maybe that's a question to ask, but you'll never find out the truth. Nobody will tell you that.
Yeah, but also like Big Tam, Kanchara, or however we're pronouncing it this week, that was a strange one, because you were seeing pictures of him in training, and there was discussions about how he was upset with the international manager who'd apparently taken the huff with him, because when he joined Celtic, he was asked about his international career, and they said, that's not my priority right now. My priority is helping Celtic. And apparently the manager had taken the huff and left him out the squad, and the agent get involved. And that was the only correspondence which involved him, or the only kind of advertised stories about him. And then suddenly it was, where did they go? He was another guy that disappeared.
No, but he played the next game against Motherwell. He scored.
Yes, no, yeah, I don't mean sorry. I wasn't. Yes, apologies. I was kind of alluding as if that was connection. Yeah, he started with him against Motherwell. Did not against Motherwell. He started.
Did he come on to a sort of half time and score the penalty the second half, didn't he? Is that right? Against Motherwell, he scored the penalty in the second half. Remember, Maida get pulled down. There's one each at a time. They got a red card. They took the penalty.
Right. Sorry, yeah. And then Yang get there too. Yes. Right. Okay. So again, but I'm looking ahead in my notes here, and that's taken up to the Dundee United game. So again, that was like this people disappearing into the Lennoxtown mist. Yeah. A bit like yourself, because that's your part of the world.
My part of the world.
Like the fog comes over. Yeah. Right. So that was that, and we think. So we had our last podcast, and we think, right, here we go. We've got a good chance of kicking on all season long. We've hoped to kick on. And then Motherwell, we managed to beat Motherwell, which was...
But you did ask the question. See, the last question, I think, of the previous podcast, then you asked the question in advance of the Motherwell game to all of us, would we win the league? Right? And even then, after those 4 tough away games, when we didn't get beat, all of us were still very much on the fence. And I think I made the point, the Motherwell game was vital for us. I think if we beat them, every chance we can win it. If we don't beat Motherwell, I don't think we'd have a chance of winning it. So the Motherwell game was quite crucial, because also it turns out that we beat them after being 1-0 down. But then Hearts played that night, didn't they? They played on the Saturday night, and they lost away to Kilmarnock. Then Rangers squeezed out a 1-0 win with managerless St Mirren on the Sunday, didn't they? So Advance of the Week that weekend was a podcast. We asked the question. We're all almost stupid. We've been watching how inconsistent Celtic's been. Let's say inconsistent's a compliment. How pretty rubbish they've been so much of the season. So we're very much aware. But that was a big result, wasn't it? I thought the second half we played well against Motherwell. First half I was really impressed with Motherwell. I thought they were really good, controlled the game. And that's the thing. It's like playing a European team coming to play us. They controlled the ball really well. And you're forgetting at times that it's guys like Stephen O'Donnell. It's guys like
Paul McGinn.
Paul McGinn, who are guys who have been good professionals. To be fair to Stephen O'Donnell, I mean, obviously an international player, but they're 34, 35. And a lot of these guys cost, buttons. And they're really, really impressive team, especially that first half. I was so impressed with them, how they played. But I thought the second half we got our tactics right. We pressed them really right on their penalty box, and I thought we got our just rewards the second half.
But again, bringing on an actual real striker or a real target man through the middle did make a big, massive difference. Plus, moving Maeda to the left, because it was Tanecki was on the left maybe, and he's this faded away. I mean, he's this faded away like the chances of Ralph or Monty turning up tonight. So that was that. I think that was a big difference. Suddenly we had presence in the front line, and that made a big difference against Motherwell. Suddenly they did not have the space or the composure. But it was a very interesting. Like when you look at social media and you see, like, you and I watch Motherwell and you're like, they are a great team, and you watch every one of them looks very well coached. Every player knows where to be, when to be, who to pass to, and they're all, including the goalkeeper, they're all so comfortable on the ball. Like when they get it, there's no any panic. When you watch us, sometimes you see like sheer panic, and you think to yourself, that's fantastic. How that coaches get players, as you say, who may not be big price tags.
Well, let's be honest, they're vastly inferior players, right? They're vastly inferior players to the majority of the Celtic team. You wouldn't know that based upon how well they're coached this season. And I hear one or two folk, you always get it online, that if you give compliments to another team, can't I do it? No, you can do that. It's actually a good thing to see a team like Motherwell with the limited resources, a fraction of what Celtic's got, playing some of the best football I've seen with another Scottish team in a long, long time, especially having such a small budget. That's a massive credit to them, and more so because we're looking at a new manager. Maybe cover this later on, and he's been linked, rightly so, a lot. But you're thinking, if you could do that with very limited players at Motherwell, what could you do with a proper pre-season and time to work with players who are better players but not well coached, it would seem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just, so you see people like, no sniping, but kind of trying to analyse it to say things like, well, they didn't actually have that many shots against the keeper, and they didn't have that many actual attacks when it actually comes down to brass. But you kind of think, but it's the composure that astounds me. I mean, like, there's no any like long ball game. It's all very much 10 yards, triangles, moving, always a man in space. There's always a man as a backup secondary option. These sort of things. And even like things like the goalkeeper, I'd be thinking, well, if you're wanting a sweeper keeper or a guy who can find a man with the ball, that's the sort of guy you should be looking at. Nothing against Sinisalo, I'm just talking about looking forward. Yeah. But very, 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 very impressive. But we managed to get that win. So again, you've inched ahead on our wee bit. You've kind of given rid of that potential.
We then became the favourites. See the bookies. We then became the bookies' favourites after that weekend, which feels like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
Just over a week. In fact, was it even a week ago? Yeah, almost 2 weeks ago. We became the bookies' favourites after that. Then we're looking forward, as you know, to Dens Park.
Tannadice.
Oh fuck! Again,
you're not alone. You're not alone, because I was making Elvis references earlier in my notes, and I realised that's next week. But yeah, so we're playing Dundee United, then we're playing Dundee, then we're playing St Mirren, and then it was a split. So we're looking at that's the potential games to come. So interesting, you mentioned there. We all thought if we don't beat Motherwell, then it's gone, right? You have to beat Motherwell and it's gone. Everybody knows we get beat with Dundee United. So is it just the 3 points, or is there a big difference between not beating Motherwell at home and getting beat with Dundee United away?
I think what helped, see, two things though happened. We beat Motherwell, but then Hearts lost, right? You know how these things work, it's the pressure. I wonder if we didn't beat Motherwell, if we'd have drew with Motherwell or lost, but our Hearts would have lost. You know, if football works like that, it's the team that's played in the last game of the 3 tends to find it, depending on the results, which is usually us, tends to find it. So it was interesting because we brought it back down to 2 points. It didn't seem, well, we'd obviously gained on them at the top, and we've put ourselves in quite a good position. So it's just the way the season's gone, isn't it? There's been no consistency, not just with us, but with Hearts and Rangers. And all 3 of us just look as if every away game in particular, that would you put money in them winning an away game? I wouldn't right now. So because of them being as poor as us, or so it seems so far, that's why you're not quite out. You're kind of holding on with your fingertips, but yet it's just a weird season, isn't it? It's hard to explain.
Yeah. But we are. If it was the Grand National of the SPFL, we're like literally a fence behind. But you know there's still Beecher's Brook in the chair to come. You know what I mean? And there's a few stray horses running about like fucking mad, and you just don't know what they're going to do. But it's just mental. But let's go back to Tannadice, right? So pre-Tannadice, yourself and Monty are the more optimistic, let's say, guys within our group. I'm the pessimist. I'm the pessimist.
Yeah.
Ralph's
you and Ralph are the two miserable.
Well, I don't know so much because I think Ralph's more of a swinger. Ralph tends to swing a little.
If you stop right enough.
And he's in a caravan. He's heading towards a caravan. But he
is it the caravan with him? Is it the caravan part in between us went to?
I'm not sure. I think he's heading towards the old Dundee. His family's in Dundee, so he might be up.
All right.
They
obviously don't like him if they put him in a caravan.
Well, I'm not saying anything there. But Ralph can sometimes fluctuate and actually be a bit positive, whereas I'll tend to be a wee bit more kind of grounded, let's say, given this past season. But right, so we go to 11 o'clock last Sunday. The teams come out, and I think my reply was, "What the actual fuck?" Iheanacho was back. Trusty was benched. He'd played well at Ibrox when he wasn't suspended, but he was benched and Arthur kept his place. Where am I? Cal Mack came straight back in. Your favourite, Cal Mack, came straight back in.
Best player in Scotland.
After a few weeks out. And I don't know what happened, but the United are called the Arabs, and they imported 4,000 tons of sand onto their pitch. So suddenly, what should have been a straightforward 12:30 kick-off on a Sunday, let's get this job done, guys, turned into a total, what are we watching here?
So it was interesting.
Have you any idea, have you any idea at this point, a week later, what you were watching last week?
So just to go over a couple of your things, right? When the team was announced, I didn't know that Big Tam was totally unavailable. I didn't know that. So when you said Iheanacho was there and starting, we went, all right, okay. But because Big Tam wasn't available, it was either going to be him or Adamu, which probably says quite a lot about how poor Adamu is if Iheanacho is starting ahead of him. So that was one thing.
If any of the listeners are asking, Adamu is a guy who joined in the January window. You may want to go back and read the Wikipedia just to confirm any of his details, just in case you're wondering who is this guy they're talking about. Carry on, Hector.
Yep. I got the boy Arthur keeping his place. I was okay with that because he played against Motherwell, him and Scales. He played a few games, and overall, he'd done okay, and it's a right-footed, left-footed balance. So that one I was okay with. The bit that really, well, Iheanacho, right, but then what do you do? Him or the other fucking dumpling, right? Whereas Iheanacho has got a good touch on a good surface. This wasn't a good surface. This was a surface where the ball to feet probably wasn't for a striker the best thing. It was probably more about being a little bit more direct, and I don't mean just punting the long ball, not finding a channel, getting a defence turning, but a pace. We're just amateurs, but you can see that with that surface. But the midfield, you're going, right, this isn't a pitch that suits how we want to keep the ball control at 5-10 year passes. And he picked a midfield. And I'm thinking, Calmac, Rio, and your favourite, Nigrin.
Casper the friendly ghost.
I just looked at that and thought, why on earth would you pick a three, especially the two more advanced ones, where the two of them aren't renowned for being great pressers, or in Nigrin's case, completely hides when Andy gets near them for a sort of challenge. I just thought, well, why would you not put in Bernardo? Nobody's saying Bernardo's fabulous, wonderful, but as he showed the last couple of weeks at Ibrox, he's willing to put a bit of a dig in, graft a bit, do the hard work that we need, especially a fucking surface that was like a really poor beach. We're watching it, we're all watching it, think the same thing. It didn't make sense, did it?
Yeah. So I'm just checking. So the team was Sinisalo, Donovan, Arthur, Scales, Tierney, McGregor, Hatate, Nygren, Yang, Maeda, and Iheanacho. And I wrote consistently bewildering, right? And again, we had Ralph said, we don't want to win this league. We don't want to win this league, do we? And then let me find Monty's. Iheanacho is the best striker we have on the book, or the least worst. And that kind of summed up the season, didn't it? Even like whoever wins the league is going to be the least worst team.
But Desi, sorry, but that wasn't the worst thing of the match, though. I've got two things from our perspective that Trump, hate to say the word Trump, right? Because nowadays, but I've got two changes the coaches did, that really had us all scratching our head. It was almost as if Wilfred had come back, right? And you know where I'm going with this one.
I know where this is.
So Donovan, who actually was unlucky, he did well, run in behind their team to try and cut the ball across, but he got nudged.
But sorry, this is a preamble. I know exactly where you're going to go.
Yeah.
But looking back at the WhatsApp chat, this is before the game. You said Martin O'Neill knows his shite and takes no prisoners. So carry on. Carry on with what you're going to say.
I know, but carry on. So just that's perfect timing. Maybe Martin didn't make these changes. Maybe it was Sean that did it, or Fozzie. Maybe it was Fozzie, right? But we're looking at it, and okay, we went 1-0 down, right? But importantly, Donovan had obviously smashed against the advertising boards, took a badge in his knee, had to go off. So you're thinking, so Tony Ralston's the right back on the bench.
Yep. You
either bring on Ralston at right back, or he might flip it and go 3-5-2 because we're a goal behind. But he didn't. What he did was he moved Rio Hatate to right back. Now, if you're at Celtic Park and you've got 75% possession, you're attacking a great surface, that's fine. You can put a guy like that, because in effect they're playing a more advanced position. But on that surface where it was direct, second ball, to move Rio to right back, it didn't make any sense. And lo and behold, within a matter of minutes, the ball is out his way. Several bobbles later, he's tried to correct. The United boys get in, blocked it, put it in, 2-0. And then just as we thought that was the daftest substitution of the whole game, he then, I think he takes off Rio, doesn't he? And then he puts Yang. Yep. He puts Yang at right back. And you're just bewildered by some of these substitutions. It just didn't make any sense because Forrest was playing right wing in front of Yang. So it's not a 3-5-2. It's still a 4-3-3. It didn't make any sense. Can you try and explain it?
No, exactly. I'm reading the chat back, and exactly 2 o'clock, 1400, I have written, why the fuck is Hatate playing right back? So you're just, and it was like it was just standing there like the wee boy in the school team, and the boy's up the other end, and he's just standing there wondering when his mum's come to collect him. It just looked totally lost. But it's the fact that was in the second half. Like, we offered next to nothing the whole game. It was like
with one chance in the first half.
We used to play against a Gift of All Crocs on a Sunday morning, and it was basically just a bunch of guys for the estate who hadn't been out on the Saturday night, or who weren't too hungover on the Sunday morning. They could make it, and that was you just kind of went, Danny, where do you want to play? Right back, on you go. That's fine. I'll play centre half. If we get anybody to play out the wing. And it looked like a team of total strangers. There was no tactics, no any expectations for it. Like, Dundee United's already beaten us. So there was no expectations of, right, well, did we learn anything from when Nancy played them? I know it was a different manager, but we've played them already, so we should know their players. But there doesn't seem to be any kind of experience being applied whatsoever. There was nothing. This is what worries me, Hector, about, like, people are talking about Celtic can still go on a run. I do not see any seeds which should suggest that someone's going to break into a sudden run of form and your team as an individual, let alone the team. We've saw over the years the team suddenly goes on a run and the team are playing as a big one fluid unit. We've not got any unit. We've not got a defensive unit. We've not got a midfield unit. We've not got a forward unit, let alone having one team unit.
People know that. See, here's the thing, right? The pitch wasn't a recent concern. We've known about the pitch because those who are maybe listening who are know for this neck of the woods in Scotland. So I think it was through January and February, was there something that the northeast of Scotland, Dundee up to Aberdeen, it was like...
I don't think Aberdeen had seen the sun for 29 days, something like that.
There you go, right. But I think Tayside with Dundee they had pretty much torrential rain, so they had a couple of games already. I think last season, strange enough, it was Dundee who had a couple of games called off, whereas this season it was Tannadice where they played. So the pitch being a sandpit, that's no surprise. So what I didn't get was picking a team, knowing it may be a more direct match, right? A bit more physicality in the team. Why not play three centre-backs? You've got three centre-backs. You've got Trusty, you've got Scales. You've actually got four centre-backs there now, and you could also put in Arthur, the right foot, right-sided one. So there's your three big centre-backs. You could go 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. And the fact we didn't do that is the bit that really annoyed me as much as anything. The subs were mental. The subs and not doing a common sense change. And we're no fucking UEFA A-licensed coaches. We're just supporters, but we're not stupid. We can see what we're watching. And see if we'd done these things and it never worked out, you go, okay, well, they tried this and tried. They never. And the longer the game went on, it wasn't going to be a case that we could pull one back. It was whether they would score another one. So 2-0 flattered us.
Yeah, exactly. But let's be honest, we were all kind of just hoping the 90-minute whistle would come as quickly as possible by the end of that game. But you made a very good point, because so Monty's not here to defend Martin O'Neill, right? Because this is why he would normally defend Martin O'Neill, and I had a few questions for him regards Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney. But I thought, like, exactly as you say, Martin O'Neill's strength has always been strength. I mean, like, his defences were always hard to beat and score against.
Physical.
And it was like, thou shalt not pass, and your Mialbis and just your stalwarts. And as you say, if you've got three decent centre halves or central defenders who could make a free to back, because your better players are in the middle of the park, let's be honest. Well, let's just try and make that work. But we've not seen anything since Martin O'Neill came in the second time, or maybe even the first time, to suggest he is trying to change things. I mean, it's like that. Opposite of Wilfred Nancy. Wilfred Nancy says, I'm not going to change it that much, and did. Whereas Martin O'Neill hasn't when we.
But what had been happening, Martin, and he said it himself, he's been up front. He said, listen, we're not good enough to think for a second we can beat anybody. And it's not just him playing the old daft uncle routine. He's we know he's telling the truth in that one. But they've been grinding out results, Desi. 96-minute winners, 92nd minute winners. So, see, as long as you're grinding out results and cut the gap back to 2, the thought process, and it's hard for us because we're not in the bubble at that level, but the thought process might be, well, look, We know it's no great. The football's pretty shit, but we're somehow getting results. Just keep it. Just keep it. Because see, if we don't keep it ticking along, we change it and we get beat, people are going to go, why did you fucking change it? Even though you've been shite, you've been winning 1-0 or 2-1, we're getting a late winner. So mine was more about in-game. Why did you not change it in-game? I could get them doing it before the game to a degree, saying, right, keep it as it is. We've just beat Motherwell. We know the pitch is shit. But then 1-0 doing on a pitch that I've been watching for an hour, rather than put Rio to right back, why not go the 3-5-2 or the 3-4? I didn't get that. And that's the bit that's frustrating, because Maloney's a smart cookie. Martin O'Neill's very, very astute, very smart. And like you say, that was, fun enough, his bread and butter was a 3-5-2 until his final season or so at Celtic Park the first time round. So it was a very, very weird one, very deflating, because it wasn't just the result, it was the performance. If you lose and you've hit the post, hit the bar, missed a couple of sitters, you're still a bit annoyed, but at least you've created chances to win the game. We did nothing. We had one chance in the first half, actual left-footed shot at the keeper, and that was it. We had nothing.
But the most interesting thing about that one was because that we were so bad that when they did that, I said Tierney plays a through ball and Ian Atchell takes it on the turn and hits it first time. A solid shot, the keeper saves. Celtic fans ask, are we allowed to do that? Because that was the first time we'd actually played a ball forward to a striker to get onto. And somebody put up, I don't know if it was his birthday or this let's look back, clips of Lee Griffiths today. And he's scoring goals for everywhere on the pitch back in the Celtic days. Not where you kind of, like, there's loads of clips of them belly kicking about and stuff. But when you see somebody like Lee Griffiths culling in free kicks and then this kind of explosive shots from every angle, they're kind of like that. Remember, we used to be dynamic. There's no any dynamism at all within the team. It's all very much. I think Tannadice, like maybe we just those 4 away games had just taken so much out of the team. Like, it was one of the old fighters. They managed to get by against Motherwell in the second half, but by the time Tannadice came in, we were just flat out. We had nothing left, and we just looked on our feet.
But the weird thing about that, though, the weird thing about you just said, is that was the first time we'd had over a week's break.
Yeah.
We played Motherwell the Saturday at Celtic Park. Then we played at Tannadice, was it the Sunday, wasn't it? So it was 8 days. We've been playing a game every 3 days or so. And it was, you could see the blowing, the fumes were almost kind of gone at that point. Then we had 8 days. So if anything, they should have been more prepared. And I know there's a couple that have got injuries. We know that. We're not going to deny that. Every team has. But we've had a really bad season throughout the year with some key players missing. So just on that point, you'd asked just before the United game about we don't see anything. Now, had we look at the fixtures there, and in a normal season, we wouldn't be anywhere having even a sniff of talking about the league. But it's because of the other teams being every bit as inconsistent and, let's be honest, rubbish, right? So we'll get Dundee a weekend Sunday at the very unusual time. I think it's 4:30 in the afternoon, Easter Sunday, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the following Saturday, St Mirren, I think it's at 3 o'clock at Celtic Park before the split. I would say, go back to your last question, the last podcast, we've got to win these two games, right? To have any chance, got to win those 2 games, right? But there's a but with it, and this is where there's a wee smidgen I'm hoping a light, because if we do win those 2 games, we then play St Mirren in the Scottish Cup semi-final. So it's actually a month to the first game of the split from now. Where I'm going with this one is that we've got Alistair Johnson's full-time training, right? Mm-hmm. So he's pretty much ready. So in a month's time, he should be pretty much at his best. We've got some of the other guys been carrying injuries, like just come back in, like Kieran Tierney, like Calmack, and a few others. But Callum Osborn's now back in full-time training, right? So I know he's only played. I know it's any old. I think it's 59 minutes. I know, any old port in a storm. But one thing I would say about the boy was the 3 or 4 games he did play before he got that horrible hamstring injury. Was he had pace? He was, your word, dynamic. Mm-hmm. He had energy, right? Something the team hasn't got at the top end of the field. And I think just having a player like that buzzing about as a 9, it does bring energy to the team, right?
Yeah.
So there's a wee smidgen of, I know it's very
Yeah,
optimistic
no,
outlook, but we're looking for any wee smidgen of hope.
all we have. That's all we have. And that's what we said at the start. Hopefully we could find something, even if it's one flake of hope. But again, you've also got Big Engels hopes to be back.
Yeah, sorry, Arnie Engels as well.
Arnie
He's
Engels.
full
So
time training.
again, the one thing we lack is presence. I mean, we do not have any presence whatsoever. And I know he's no Victor Wanyama. We know that. But he's at least get the frame, and he's when you look at games he's in compared to the games he's not in, we definitely do better. So hopefully,
100%. And he can get you
hopefully they
assists
can
and get
come
you
back.
goals, right? Yeah, yeah.
Again, the only thing is you just hope that we don't rush these players back. You know what I mean? Or in like say Alistair Johnson's case, he does not try and get back too early because of the World Cup. You know what I mean? This sort of thing that's in their mind.
Consider that. Yeah.
But that's also going to be another factor as you get towards the end of the season. The World Cup's clearly going to be in people's minds, players' minds, because it's maybe a once-in-a-career chance to go to these things. So when you get towards the end of the season, suddenly will they be going full into those tackles? You never know.
Well, that won't impact Nigel, will it? Full percentage tackles, will it?
Well, again, he played the full game. He played the game last night for Sweden and dubbing Ukraine, and also got another assist. I meant to ping you last night to say how he was getting lauded. Nygren was getting lauded for his contribution against Sweden.
I think there was no physical contact in that game at all.
It's fine. So that's a very good point, right? So there's been a lot of talk about Roberto Martinez for Celtic, etc., manager. And I'd mentioned before about how when Martinez was manager of Wigan, he took on Sean Maloney and recognised Sean Maloney as a special, unique talent who was not just your run-of-the-mill footballer, but he was prone to injuries and he was fragile. So he put Sean Maloney on an individual training programme away from everybody else and focused the team around Maloney. And the rest of the team's job was to protect Maloney and get the ball to Maloney. And they end up winning the FA Cup. I think they also remember you earlier, but I mean, so they had a bit of glory.
Are you saying Sean Maloney got them relegated? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, basically, yes. He's a big bad luck, so we've still got a chance in the bottom six. We'll get a chance in the bottom six. But what I'm trying to say is maybe it's something like Nygren. You see a lot of it on social media. People try to fit him somewhere into a team.
Desi.
Or do you just fit the team with him? Do you just say, you players, you go anywhere you like, mate?
Would you build a team round about him?
No, but that's what I'm saying. So
no, I want you to stare at the camera. Folk can't see. It's all right. And I want you to see me. Yes, I would build the future Celtic team in the next 5 years.
No, see, this is not right. So I appreciate what you're asking me, but you're asking the wrong question because there is no future Celtic team. We only have an 8-game Celtic team to worry about. So this is what I mean. So this is where you are. So it's a case of this is your squad, Martin and Sean. What are you going to do with it? Because Tannadice has just shown that whatever you tried up there was a disaster. You're not going for free at the back. What are you going to do to make this work? If Engels comes back, do you just drop Hatate? Do you just drop Engels? So who's going to score the goals? Because you've not got a striker who's scoring goals. I mean, there's every potential movement, isn't it? It's not as if you're swapping like for like because Griffiths is scoring 20 and Dembele's scoring 18. Back in the old days, Edward's scoring 12 and Dembele's scoring 18. That idea, we've got Iheanacho is still our top striker with 3 goals. I mean, that's how bad it is this year.
He's only played about 6 games, hasn't he?
But that's the fact that that's your best striker. And then everybody was getting hopeful last week when he was coming back to Tannadice. We're going, great to have him back. He's our best striker. And I'm thinking, everything's relative. That should come with a wee star that says he's played, as you say, 6 games, 3 hamstring pulls. Well,
I can get my focus.
Johnny Kenny.
He's the best technical in terms of, because the League Cup final is the perfect example of that, right? He was the best player on the pitch. Then as you touched upon there, the hamstring the second time now already. Unfortunately, Alistair Johnston twice this season, where when he went off, we just made nothing. Johnny Kenny came on and we couldn't hold the ball up. And so I hate to say it, on a good pitch, Is that where we are?
No,
On a
it's
good
not
pitch, right? If we're playing say at home, aye, Nacho. But see, you're playing a shite pitch, you don't start him. Is that where we are?
So a year actual on a good pitch only. Two caveats, right? But again,
For 60
like,
minutes.
just you're saying that there, I'm thinking, so does that also mean when we start getting down that road, Forrest is still our best winger? Or we'll give that to Yang now? I know your noise, but I think
See the Yang thing. Sorry, we've got to talk about Yang, right? So, you know me, in terms of, like everybody has to, no, not if that's not true, because we'll just get people who moan non-stop, irrespective. They'll give a guy 30 minutes before they make their mind up with certain players. I don't. I tend to give him a run of games. I've heard this thing, and a lot of it's tongue-in-cheek, carry on, the Yang gang and all that, right? But some folk are deadly serious. And I'm thinking, what am I missing here? Did Yang play well in the recent one against Motherwell? Of course he did. 2 great goals. Overall, did he play brilliant? No, but he scored 2 great goals. So for me, that's brilliant. My issue with, because we're talking about Yang, it's not just Yang, mind you, is that Yang maybe gives you one good game in maybe 4 or 5 games. Or he might go on a wee run of 2 half-decent games and be invisible for 6. So the game at the weekend, not just Yang, the whole team, right, at Tannadice, right, are at fault. I mentioned the Motherwell game. We went to Pataudry, he was dire. With the 2 games at Ibrox, he was dire.
Scored a great goal.
That's my
against
thing.
Rangers in January, remember?
But that's January, right?
That's not better than anybody else.
That's my point. That's my point. This is nearly April, right? And it's as I say, it's not just a Yang thing, right? It's people, and I get it. We're supporters, and you want to see any wee shoots of optimism. So if Yang is a couple, yeah, I kind of get it, but I think we're at that point, that desperate point now, Desi, where we're looking for anything to use any wee smidgen of hope, right? That people are jumping on that bandwagon. Then lo and behold, a week later they shoot it down completely.
So my reply to that is, right, and there is a touch of the Rio Hitatis about this, and I'm not talking about Rio here, but Yang's another example of the person who tries and fails is getting more abuse than the people who do fuck all. And I'm not going to go you, I'm just saying in general. So Yang's at least out there running his arse off, trying his best. His best might not be good enough. We're not saying he's great. His best not, but he's making an effort and he's trying. There's other ones who are not making any effort, but because they're no visible to the people, obviously, they're just hiding.
Who's hiding? Genuinely,
listen, well, let's start with our star signing this year, Mr. Balak Wisha. Have you fucking seen him? I'm not having a go.
Sorry, I wouldn't even consider him.
This is part of the overall problem. Then you've got your Tenekis of the world who come on and say, I'm just going to try and float inside and I'm just going to fall over. And you're like, what the fuck? I don't even know what you're.
But he's the same, right? Look at the game at Ibrox. Was it the league game? They're 2-0 at half time. And Martin brought on Rio and Teneki at half time. And those two Teneki was great at second half, as was Rio, as was the team. So he's another one. It's this one good game in 4, or he might have, he might be the best player on the pitch for half an hour and suddenly, yeah, and then he fucking disappears again. And it's just, and I rack my brains thinking about this, because this is Martin's second time this season. And maybe my mind's playing tricks me because it's an age thing, but see the first 7 or 8 games he was here.
So are you quoting Martin there, or are you talking about yourself?
I'm doing the didn't know the old Ganda thing as well now, right? But I felt as if the first group of maybe was it 8 games he was in the first time. You could see immediately what he was trying to do. He only tweaked it slightly, but he was getting the ball forward quicker to the forwards, to the wingers, the striker, forward quicker. Not just hoofing it, but hitting a channel or body feet inside the fullbacks. Yeah. And he also had Engels and McGregor as the 2 kind of 6s, but not just sitting for the defence, up a bit, but gave Nigel a free role as a 10. And it seemed to, as I say, work reasonably well. I don't see that. I'm not saying he's not tried, he obviously has, but I'm just not seeing it. And I just worry that, has he played all his cards, or is it just a case that it's such an inconsistent season that we might beat Dundee, right? I wouldn't put any money on it. Should we beat St Mirren at home? Yes. Well, probably more chance now that Robinson's not there, because he, no matter what you think about him, he could set up a team that was hard to beat, big, strong, physical, defensive. That goes back to my earlier point. If we win at Dens, I think we'll beat St Mirren. So I think there's 6 points, which we must get. See if we get those 6 points, and we've got, by that point, Arne Engels fully fit with the team. We've also got, touched a few minutes with Alistair Johnson, who's full-time training as well, and Callum Osmond into the mix as well as others getting fitter. Do we have a chance to win it? Of course we do. It's a lot of ifs, buts and maybes, isn't it? And again, I go back to Dens Park. We've got to win at Dens Park next week. If we don't win at Dens Park, Desi, you got it from me. I'm saying it's done. The league's done.
Are you confident we'll win at Dens Park next week?
Definitely. We need to put a pen on it.
So closing on Tannadice, I'd written my notes where an old Irish class act had been brought in from the cold, along with his young, hungry prodigal son. An enigmatic Swede was just flouncing about, all rather useless and just a waste of time in the end. But enough about the Peaky Blinders movie, Hector. Let's concentrate on the football, right? So I've got another one ready to come. Right, so that was Tannadice disaster, right? I think I just wrote disaster. And that was a heavy fuck's sake in capitals Twitter game for what. So we are where we are. We went for just breathing down Hearts' neck, putting the pressure on them to be back to third, to the goal difference taking a bit of another re-hammering. So that's another worry. So Hector, we'd been talking about, I know you love your stats, like last year's comparisons. And I know it might be a little bit apples and pears, so to speak, but last year and this year, points-wise, 78, this year, 61. But it was the goals, Hector, goals scored and goals conceded. Last year, for example, 20 goals conceded. This year, 34. So that's, over 50% difference. But then goals scored. So currently in the league, Hector, 56. How many had we scored this time last year?
So hold on, there's 5 games to split 2, so we played 31. 31, we scored 56.
After 31 league matches.
So 56. We scored a lot of goals last season, which it's amazing how memory plays tricks with people. I think we scored 150, 160 goals overall last year, not just the league, but the entire campaign. So based on that, 31 games, close to 385?
92. We had scored 9. Over 3 goals. Well, 3 goals, basically almost 3 goals a game, 2.99 games. 92 goals in 31 games last year. That
gets back to our, and we're not going to
we are again, but timing because that game finished last week at Tannadice with the Dundee United stewards putting up a better performance in the Celtic defence because they were all lined up in front of a special wee area where they put the Celtic board, the United Celtic board, Hector.
Well, you mentioned all the goals last year, right? And it doesn't need to be somebody who's got a super brain to work it out. We had Kyogo till the last week in January, when crazily enough we sold him without having a replacement striker in. With Nicholas Kuhn, who was dynamite for certainly up to about January time. Then he came in again towards the end of the season, wasn't too bad. Adam Ida had 20 goals, I think, last season as the backup striker. Then Jota came in. So we had those 4 players there. And then the pace and the movement of them, because Maeda would have benefited from that last season as well, with all of that pace and movement, and we're midfielders and the confidence. So to have lost that level of goals, pace, energy, excitement, dynamism, one of your words.
Mm-hmm.
So to what we've got now, and that just answers why we've went back 17 points, is it, from this point last season, because we've not scored anywhere near the number of goals, and we're defensively a lot weaker.
A goal difference, I never thought I'd say those words in my life. A goal difference of 50 goals of a difference in the league, and the goal difference between now and last season.
Well, that's you won the league easy, isn't it? You've won the league easy, haven't you?
I always dismiss the like winning the league by points unless you're going for an unbeaten. And I still annoys me about remember Martin O'Neill had the chance to, I think, to go for record points and we just fell away at the very end. That did annoy me. But if you've won it, I always think it doesn't really matter. Play the Wains for the last couple of games. I couldn't care less. And I was actually quite glad. Mind that time we get beat with Aberdeen at home in the last game of the season.
Yeah.
Because it meant Rangers came, Aberdeen came second. That's fantastic. But that doesn't really bother me because every now and again you'll get a Who Keems or somebody saying they were only 3 points behind last year, and you go, the league was finished 6 games ago. It doesn't matter. Points mean nothing as long as it's won. But that just shows you the level, how the performance has dropped so badly, Hector. And as you say, so that brings us back to the board, right?
It's the lack of quality because, but people talk about Hearts and Rangers. It's not that Hearts and Rangers have improved. Well, Hearts have probably improved a wee bit. We've regressed. Not just a wee bit. Your point, we're 50 goals worse off. Our goal differential is, think about that, 50 goals difference. And we're 17 points less. We've come a way down the way because of regression, because of the last 3 transfer windows, and even the most recent one. And this is the bit that's sticking in my head a bit, right? So Martin comes in the first time. Brendan, our glorious leader, takes over the club website and basically blames Brendan for our ails, right? And we're all fucking laughing at that one.
The work of one selfish individual.
So Martin comes in and works wonders for 8 weeks, and then Martin goes and they bring in that nutcase from France, Canada, America, who derails us. Then Martin comes in just after we get pumped by Rangers at Celtic Park again. The bit that I struggle with, Desi, right, is thinking back to the January window. They've got all that money, all that pressure on the board. They've just appointed Wilfred and then sacked him within 30 odd days or so. Pressure's building. The leverage Martin had to come back the second time was so much. Why did he accept that transfer window? Why did he accept having everybody was alone, guys who weren't getting a game for their teams or were barely starting their career, barely kicking a ball? Why did he accept that? That's the bit I'm struggling with. It's so much power. It's so much power the second time round in January with all that money, and yet he ends up getting fucking rubbish in. And I don't get why he would accept that.
Yep. Again, if Monty was here, I'm sure Monty would be saying they've played the emotional blackmail card. So Martin's stuck, and all he can do is try his very best for Celtic. So are we thinking that Dermot, even as I'm saying it, you're thinking, well, wait a minute, Martin O'Neill's a proud, rightly proud man, a proud man with a reputation to uphold, so to speak. So again, is he going to let people like your Mike Nicholson and your Dermot Desmond rip the piss at him, or is he thinking, well, if I walk, this is even going to leave it even in a bigger mess? But you've already got people like Sean Maloney talking about, no, I promised them I would be here for 2 years to work on the pathway development.
Yeah.
No, so he's kind of going, I'm away. This is no a long-term thing for me. This is literally just a plaster. I'm off. It's up to him to find a long-term solution to this. But all we get is still, Hector, nothing's changed. The Green Brigade's still on there in the stadium. And like just moving on for the state of the squad. The only things that can be fixed, we can't buy any players. So the only thing that can be fixed is try to actually get Brian Wilson's unity sorted. And there appears to be no way that is going to get sorted at all. Do we actually believe?
I listened to the podcast. I listened to the podcast last night. Is it the Celtic Cynic podcast? And it was one of the boys, Martin, who from the Green Brigade, who was on. So we've discussed this before. I think Martin's one of the guys where the club, when I say the club, Mark Cargill's in particular seems to have an issue with, and Martin's own words, I think it goes back, well, not exclusively, but more recently to the AGM when words were exchanged, and he was talking his words. He said words were exchanged were the they vocal? Were they loud? Absolutely, he goes, but there was no threat. You know, you can have an exchange of words where you're emotional when there's no threat, raised voices, and he was saying that. It was just interesting listening that'll be now 30 games overall, home and away, where they've been officially banned from, right? And the people who were accused of misbehaviour, I think the game against Falkirk, midweek game, Celtic Park, where he was saying they get their doors, their house kicked in. Them, their partners, or they're still with their parents, whatever, early in the morning, dragged up to court. And that of those people, they've got to turn up. So Celtic's got a home game, let's go say 3 o'clock on a Saturday. They've got to be at the local police station for 3 o'clock on a Saturday. At half time of the game, they can obviously get a break, a toilet break, whatever, and they've got to be there again for the second half. And midweek it applies as well at Celtic Park. They've got to go to the local police station for say 7:45 midweek, and they're there until the game finishes. And you just think about that for a second, the impact that has on something that's unproven. And it's just in the border. And he was saying even the police officers at the police station are going, this is just fucking mental.
Yeah.
As him saying, the cops are saying to the 5 people concerned, this is just beyond fucking crazy what's happening here and why the club's allowing this. But he also made a really interesting point. People just think it's the Green Brigade, right? And I've always been a big fan, they push boundaries, but that's what ultras do. And I'm sure they'll be the first to admit they've made mistakes, but 90+% of what they do has been fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
He made the really interesting point, I don't think a lot of fans maybe understand, is that of the 200 or so that are currently banned for that section, majority aren't in the Green Brigade.
Yeah.
Majority are supporters who are in the standing section who are not ultras. So there might be, I'm making this up, 80 to 100 who are Green Brigade. The other 100 or so are supporters who, when given the chance to go to the standing section that became available, jumped in. So they're all banned. So it's not an ultras versus Celtic thing. It's more than the ultras. And he said it's a way of life. He goes, for people, it's, all you've got in your life is everybody else. People are working hard, or they're tired, or their own problems at home, and this escapism to go and see your team, see some friends, and have that all taken away from you, and the club's doing the least amount possible to try and get a solution. Even though Brian Wilson has the words that he says, and words of conciliation, reconciliation, bringing folk together again, he said in the meetings they've had, he's been there with Brian Wilson, and in his own words, he thinks that Brian Wilson genuinely does want them back in. But he said in his thoughts are that it's not Brian Wilson that's the problem. He then talks to the executive board, and he said it's the Michael Nicholson, the Chris Mackay, the other senior managers who report to the exec board, the Mark Hargreaves, and 1 or 2 people across the Irish Sea who don't want them at Celtic Park. So Brian Wilson's doing the political thing, but he's saying he actually does think he wants them back there. But he's just getting kiboshed or put off all the time. And he mentioned the Safety Advisory Group, which we discussed in the previous podcast. Again, they've asked for minutes, these meetings, nothing being shared. Freedom of information, no minutes, nothing. They've asked if they could attend, one of their members can attend, no chance. They were told no. They asked if the Celtic SLO, who's John Paul Taylor, one of the good guys, can attend. They said no. So the person that represents Celtic at the Safety Advisory Group is Mark Hargreaves, who was ex-chief constable in the police. So he's there with people he worked with or worked for him, the police force, some of the fire service guys who probably don't give a tuppence worth about the politics involved, and I think there's 1 or 2 for the council who make up that group. And it's just mental. And he said they wanted to, after the game at Ibrox, the SAG said to Rangers they wanted the area where their ultras are closed, and Rangers chased them.
Yeah.
Went, no, you're an advisory group. You don't tell us what to do. And it's crazy. So we're going to have the situation where we're playing Rangers at Celtic Park in the split. And the way things currently stand, you're going to have no Celtic ultras again for the second time this season. and the people who ran on the pitch at Ibrox down towards the Celtic end, predominantly from that ultra section, are going to be at Celtic Park.
Who attacked a Celtic member of staff.
It's
And they'll probably be allowed to bring a tifo in.
yes.
I mean, like, that's so like that. Make yourself at home, guys, and you come, because you don't cause us any problems whatsoever. It's just mental. It's just
I know.
pathetic.
It's just crazy, isn't it? And it's self-harm, self-defeating.
Yep.
And nobody's saying the Green Brigade talent will start to win every game, but it brings a better atmosphere to the occasion, right? And I guess the board, try to get into their shoes, they just see the Green Brigade as trouble. They also see with their banners with the board out and all that stuff, face them for the corner, that you see that, but they hold up, right? And you're like, oh, I don't want that. We don't want that, right? So it's just pathetic. And for the first time, Desi, for the first time in a very long time, I'm at a genuine crossroads for next season, where with the current board, I really struggle to want anything to do with them. So we've got 3 season tickets, two of the boys. They'll lot younger. They'll obviously have theirs next year, but me, I'm generally on the fence for the first time in such a long time, because I can't handle the Celtic board.
No,
I just can't handle.
You're not alone. There's so many people in the exact same boat. I was going to go on a wee rant there, but I'll avoid it, of the people who keep posting and suggesting the Green Brigade should just get over themselves and accept all of the requirements and all of the constraints or whatever, all of the regulations, which are actually, they've not been told what they are. I've just been told you didn't need to accept all of the compliance regulations that we lay down, and then just come in and support the team and help back the team, as if they're like choir boys to be fucking sing on cue. Give me an atmosphere on cue. No, that way. And so I'm going to avoid doing that, but it really fucking annoys me when I see that, as if
I would say, Desi, though, but I would say, I get your point. I would say it slightly differently, and what I mean by that is, I think those who jump in straight away, but Brian Wilson does his interview and does his comments about he wants them back, and this is the guy from Green Brigade saying last night, he thinks he does want them back based upon the conversations. But a lot of the fans, or many of the fans who feel the way you've just said, they'll just take his word and the club's word as gospel. They won't go out and try and find out the counter view from those impacted, i.e. the podcast last night, where I think if they listen to that and the human side of it, it's not somebody ranting and shouting and just a guy talking, then you go, wait a minute, there is at least 2 sides to every story here, and we didn't quite appreciate, the wider impact, and we didn't quite appreciate, you were just touching upon it there. What is, right, you abide by all these rules. What are the rules? Well, we've not told you yet. So you're to abide by rules that nobody's told you that's different. It's not just the season ticket holder rules we all have to abide by. And he mentioned that last night.
Yeah.
It's in the T's and C's and we have to abide by that. But it's these additional rules that they've not been told what they are. How can they accept stuff without knowing?
Exactly. And that carte blanche, it's a very dangerous road to go down, because as soon as we touched upon it the last time, apologies anyone listening who's thinking we've been doing this road, but it's no went away. This is the problem, Hector. It's no gone away and it's no went away, and it's just, and I think the Celtic board maybe after those 4 away games and the win against Motherwell, maybe this is starting, maybe it's getting a wee bit brighter on the horizon, and then Tannadice just brought it back home again. Well, wait a minute. Suddenly that problem is just over. We've just parked it to the side for a second. It's no went anywhere. It's just went, and it's going to ramp up, I think, as we head towards the split. And as you say, these next 2 games are really vital. And the worrying thing is we can't tell what's going to happen. But good news, Hector. Good news. Well, we're talking about board appointments. We have a new business relations manager. Sadly, Monty did not get the job. Have you any idea why he did not get the job at all? Why did hold on? Why did Paul Mazoya, Heineken executive, get it, Hector?
Why did he get it, or why might he have got it? It's maybe a different thing.
Paranoia, tell us.
Is it the fact that Monty who is from the north of Ireland, which is a fine place, as we all know. Is it the fact that Monty didn't go to maybe a school in the sort of city centre of Glasgow called St Aloysius? Is that maybe part of it?
Are you suggesting that there may be a close network?
I'm not suggesting that there's an old school network who seem to have the corridors of powers to themselves at Celtic Park, Desi. Are you suggesting that I'm thinking that?
So Mike Nicholson basically looked at his Friends Reunited page and thought, wait a minute, Paul's a guy. Paul could get this job. Let's cast the net wide as possible to a guy who sat beside me in school. That should work. So that's not bad.
Here's the thing about this as well, right? But the guy might be brilliant at his fucking job. But the thing now is this association thing, isn't it? It's the Michael Nicholson, it's Lowell Jr. going there. It's Mark Hargreaves going there. Other people in the Celtic board. So the fact that he also was at school there at the same time as them, we're just going, wait a fucking minute. This world-class recruitment search lands, 2 miles from Celtic Park at the same place where so many in the club went to school. That's the thing that's rotten about it. And as I say, the guys at Heineken, he might be fucking great, but already the perception is, there we go.
You just know that George, our listener's sitting going, what about Wilfred Nancy? What about that white net? Stick with what you know. So I was going to say, yeah. Excuse me. He just made me think of all of those managerial sackings, which always seem to happen just after, like when results are going wrong at any football club, results are going wrong. We always start tinkering with the backroom staff first. It's like it's easy to bring in like a new physio or a new sports coach or a new first team coach to help the manager, and then within 4 weeks, the manager and all of those people have left the building. That sort of way. So I'm wondering if it'll be the same for our Paul Mazoya.
So Desi, can I ask you a question then, right? So that world famous school.
St Aloysius. You like to say
St Aloysius, right?
My father went, yes.
So Desi, can I ask you, right? Is there any other famous people who went to St Aloysius who you can see returning to do a job at Celtic Park?
St Aloysius. Oh, I would love. I don't know about returning, but I would love to see Armando Iannucci getting some job at Celtic Park. That could be a laugh.
What do you think his role could be at Celtic Park?
Armando Iannucci, he could maybe take over scripting Jerry McCulloch's Michael, why are you so good scripts. That would be quite interesting if we could get, instead of the thick of it, it would just be the thick. That's all you would need. You wouldn't need. So
could he do the pre-match? Could he do the pre-match entertainment or something? Could he be the person that him and Tom Conti perhaps could get their heads together?
Tom Conti, lovely. Tom Conti would be a nice one. No, again, I actually did note that Celtic have missed a trick there. So surely when they were looking for this new business relations manager, they could have actually had a Celtic apprentice-style TV show. I mean, they've clearly missed a trick. They could have quite easily found it.
You mentioned Celtic TV there, right? What an opportunity to bring in the housewife's favourite, Paul Collier.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Radio Clyde and Channel 4.
And you could get him and his wife.
David Greenwood. It's just green in the name. It's itself. Paul Collier and David Greenwood.
There we go, folks. So if you see in the near future any of those names mentioned are linked with Celtic in some capacity, don't worry, we're in safe hands. They went to St Aloysius. Oh,
and that's spooky. That's spooky because Paul Collier actually comes from just about half a mile down the road from where Mike Nicholson stays at the moment. So that would even make the circle a wee bit tighter.
Even better. Relatively famous Celtic player went to St Aloysius. One of your favourites from the centenary season, Desi?
Who would that be? Mr. Joe Miller, no?
No. The guy who became a kind of TV summariser, live games for Sky, ex-Celtic player, striker.
Are you talking about the best public speaker I've ever experienced in my life at Trinity High School, Mr. Andrew Walker?
Andy Walker.
Andy Walker, yeah, Andy Walker also went. I once had the joys of going to my daughter's parents. It was a parents' night or a presentation, and Andy Walker. The first year it was Peter Martin Maguire. Peter Martin, because his sister worked at the school, and he came along and did a very entertaining chat presentation to the pupils and the parents. And the following year it was Andy Walker, and Andy Walker had attended Trinity before moving on to join Motherwell, and then his glittering career. Let's be honest, he had a great career as a footballer, but as a speaker in that school that day, it was maybe 20 minutes and it felt like 90 minutes. Oh, it was like drawn teeth. I still remember it. But yeah, so yeah, St Aloysius, you never know, maybe we'll get a tie. Maybe they'll get to go with the Kano Foundation. You know, the Kano Foundation always takes some kids who deserve a wee break, a wee day to football. Well, that'd be nice if the Kano Foundation are listening. Maybe see if there's anyone for St Aloysius would like to go to the game. That would be nice. You know what I mean? So yeah, so we'll get a new business manager. So no one can say the board aren't making big decisions. You know what I mean? For the good of the club. So we'll see what happens with the Heineken executive. So as
world class, Desi, world class in everything we do. World class.
That's our objective. As I mentioned, so we're at the first quarter of the year. I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear Michael getting his quarterly review as an executive. Tell us how you have reached your objectives of being world class in anything you can do, Michael. But as I've seen a lot of things regards the collective and then the various areas that are trying to make ground, seltzer change and stuff. But the big question keeps being how can we possibly, as a fan base, make any dent in this? How can we possibly make any influence in this? And as you alluded to there, Hector, money is the only thing that's going to make any difference. And that is season books, because not a penny more has made an impact, but it's not going to cripple the club's cash flow, whereby season books. But realistically, 50,000 people, how many people are automatically going to subscribe to these season books?
The thing is as well, the season book thing as well, it's anger with them at the club, the board. But a lot of people season books, it's supporters buses, it's groups, it's family, friends being together. So either got to see Celtic, but it's spending those, it could be every fortnight, the only time people can get together as family sometimes, or sometimes you miss that game and it's once a month and you see them maybe an hour or so before. So it's more than just the football. That's the thing about it. The football's vital, but it's just that boredom, the fit for purpose, and Desmond doesn't give a fuck, right? But what Desmond will do is he will be across the next managerial appointment because of the fuck up that Nicholson did with the last one. And it looks like Monty's going to be probably proven right that he was first to say it. He goes, Robbie Keane was the guy that they went to when Brendan left, but he wasn't willing to come and leave. Was it Ferencváros from the Hungarian league at the time? There's really strong numbers now linking him with the job, which would kind of tick the profile that Dermot Desmond kind of likes, isn't it? A really kind of well-known guy from his part of the world.
Right, so there's a question for you, right? I know my answer, but I'll ask you first. Robbie Keane, does it bother you that they worked in Israel, so to speak?
He's a football guy. He's not. But I think the question is, would I want him as a manager? No. But the political side, does it? In all honesty, he's a football guy. He's went for, where was it? Wherever he went to, he went there. Was it a year or so?
Oh, he went through what, Coventry to was it Milan? He played for.
Aye.
Who did he? I mean, he went from Coventry to Italy, then back to England, and then Scotland, and here, there, in America. So again, just one of the football mercenaries.
But purely football terms for him, right? Purely football terms. If he comes to Celtic, it's entirely a stepping stone to get to the EPL.
Yeah.
Because that's where his career was, wasn't it? It was Coventry, it was Wolves, it was Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great player. Whereas I look at the guy at Motherwell with limited resources. If you say to me right now, choose one, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Because one, he's been a season in Scotland. He's very likely to get a job offer in the EPL because nobody knows who he is straight away. He'd probably have to be at least 3 years, which nowadays 3 years is a lifetime for a manager. So if it's a choice of A2, I'd be going to the guy at Motherwell immediately, Ascow straight away rather than Robbie Keane. But Desmond, I suspect, will be very different.
The only concerns I would have for the Motherwell guy is the scale of the job, the actual the stepping up to that, making that massive step up, and that's where I would be. I would be more confident if we had like a kind of mentor figure, like a Martin O'Neill as your director of football, or just somewhere there available.
Possible chairman, Desi? Possible Celtic chairman?
But like something like that, but no, like this there, not necessarily to be in his ear all of the time, but just to be there for a wee cup of tea, arm around the shoulder. And again, I always come back to like that Ange press conference and the supporter saying, Ange, none of those guys upstairs are your friends, talking about the media. You know what I mean? Warning Ange, that sort of thing, that kind of just help that guy learn how to deal with that, because he's under no pressure at Motherwell. I mean, like, he's done great. I'm not, that's clear to see. Really, really great. Probably the manager of the year. Great job. Hopefully, Dent McInnes doesn't win the league. But the actual pressure is suddenly going from Motherwell spotlight to Celtic as for a 20-watt bulb to a full floodlight in your face. You know what I mean? So there's a massive step up.
And I get it. The only one thing I would say, slightly not to counter it, but just to add to the mix, I would totally understand that if he was coming in from overseas to Scotland for the first time with Celtic, right? A bit like Ronnie Dyler, the first time to Celtic. I think getting a season under his belt in Scottish football and doing so well with Motherwell and having them, in fourth place, easily in fourth place, he knows the lie of the land here. So, it is how big Celtic are. Nobody really knows until you take on the job or you're a player at Celtic, I suppose, right? So I get that point, but I'll give him that wee bit. That year here, I think, would help a lot in terms of understanding the league setup and scale of clubs and stuff like that. So anyway, let's see what happens.
Yeah, even but the players you're dealing with, because again you're expected to then step up the level of player. So like again, you're Robbie Keane, been there, seen there, done it. And I'm not saying you need to be that, but there's all wee factors like that need to be taken into consideration.
Well, Ange is a good one, wasn't it? Because Ange, nobody'd heard the Ange. Let's be honest about it. Unless you use Google, nobody'd heard the Ange. I know it mentioned Australia, but nobody really knew. Martin
Lawwell had heard the Ange.
But I think it's more about personality.
Yeah.
You've got to have a big personality and belief in what you're doing. And this guy seems to have a lot of belief, speaks really well. If he's shite, then I say no, that's if we appoint him as manager, right? But I can't help but feel to be impressed. And somebody who I think we could get, if he was successful, I think he would be an easy 3 years with us, because I think Robbie Keane had one good year at Celtic, be off like a shot.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the interesting things was recently when they actually came out and complained about the refereeing standards. And I think it was the same week as Celtic had kind of various other issues. But Motherwell had suffered for some refereeing problems. And they came out and just had a go, maybe against Rangers. And now you're kind of going, well, he's not holding back. No, he's just no like know your place sort of guy. And that kind of having that confidence and forthrightness to actually call them out when he's the Motherwell manager would stand them in good stead. Because again, that used to be the stepping stone kind of idea for becoming like your Celtic manager, not like Billy McNeil, Clyde, Aberdeen, Celtic, that kind of idea you would give in.
Davy Hay was Motherwell, wasn't he?
Then you would just give in and do your wee kind of tour and then step up.
Jock Wallace, for the old brigade, he went to Rangers for Motherwell, didn't he? Jock Wallace, didn't he?
Aye. I was going to say, was he Berwick Rangers manager or just a player? But anyway,
see, he'd have loved Tannadice. He'd have loved that sand in that pitch, Jock Wallace.
Right, so but this you're talking there. We were talking about the season tickets. You just remind me there. Monty's known again to miss it, and Ralph. The Huns have put up their prices by 6.5%. Announced their season book prices already, increases already. 6.5%, but also having a massive new share issue, Hector. So we don't really care. We don't really normally deal with finances. That's Monty's side. But does that put added pressure onto your board, or does it make it easier for them then to turn around and say, here, Celtic fans, we're only putting your season books up by 5%. How good are we? How nice what a good job we're doing, because we're good custodians, aren't we?
See, to
We're
be
not
honest with you,
in debt.
Desi, I don't think they care. I think this season's demonstrated they do not care one bit what anybody thinks. I just don't think they do. And what's inflation? Is it 3% or something? So Rangers doing over 6. I don't know what Celtic's done the last few years. They'll probably do the same again. Is
I
it,
don't
is
know,
it
usually about 5.
4%?
I think it's usually been about 5 every year.
Aye. So they might do the same again, which it shouldn't be. It should be inflation linked, right? If anything. In fact, after this season, it should be given a reduction back to supporters for how bad they've been this season.
They're still sitting in the COVID money. Let's never forget that.
I know. That we all put in, without asking for a handout back, but we did our bit. And what did they give us? 50 quid off the first season, something like that, and whatever else. But anyway, so listen, I was just going to say to you, anything else you want to cover off apart from the next 2 games coming up?
No, I think we've covered everything here that I've got. It'll be interesting to see if anybody. Nice to see Nakamura back in Scotland. I don't know if you
See
noticed
the photograph of him and Tierney, which was nice. Wasn't it?
And then they show you the photo of Tierney getting Nakamura's boots when he was a young boy at Celtic Park. It'll be interesting to see if we'll replicate that in the years to come. Like some youngster getting Tierney's boots, that would be nice. Or Balak Wisha's boots as he heads towards the airport. I mean, I'm so looking forward to the story of what that whole transfer what happened there. Did that guy just get flung in a plane and sent over, and they've swapped him for somebody else, and he's turned up and went, I don't want to be here? Because you see him back in Belgium and saluting his old fans and on the pitch.
He was good in Belgium. That's the thing. We've all got access.
18 months.
We've all got access now. We can all see the video of footage of him playing that season in Antwerp. And your points are a really good one. It was announced we're signing him. Usually supporters go, oh, fuck off. But you can tell somebody who's really like when the supporters, somebody leaving, they get the fans are going, thanks, and their fans were like big round of applause and well done. Or either that, they went, no fucking way. 6 million euros. 6 million euros.
They were clapping a bit. Don't forget, he's still got one of the highest. He's got 2 assists. He's actually up for the Assist of the Year award along with Nivin this year. I mean, that's how bad it is.
Final question for me then, right? And we touched upon this already. Next 2 games before the split. Away to Dundee, home at St Mirren. Prediction.
I'm trying to think of who's all away on international duty. Sinasalo's away to New Zealand. Mick Hollywood highlighted to us. That was a nice trip. As long as everybody survives international escapades. I noticed Scales was missing. He was banned for the Irish game, so maybe hopefully he'll be fresh. Hopefully we can scrape a 1-0 against Dundee, but I've got a feeling we're going to need to play Engels at Dundee to have some sort of presence in that midfield. Or Martin might listen. Hello, Martin, if you're listening. If you want to go free to the back, Martin, feel free to go free to the back and throw a curveball in. So I'll go for a horrible 1-0 lucky penalty against Dundee, because that will actually mean people will turn up for the St Mirren game. If we get beat with Dundee, I don't even know if I'll be there for the St Mirren game, to be honest. That's how bad
it would be toxic, wouldn't it? It would be toxic, wouldn't it? I think the Dundee one you asked earlier about confidence and no much confidence. I let the old heart predict this one. A nervous, scrapey 1-goal win, right? Somehow we'll scrape a victory at Dens. I think we'll, if that was the case, then I think we'll beat St Mirren with a wee bit to spare at Celtic Park. I think Robinson will be with them, looks of stuffing out of them, because I don't like how he does it, but they're hard to beat, right? He was the kind of heartbeat of that club. So I think we beat them a bit to spare if we beat Dundee.
Is it Tony Docherty? I've seen somebody posting that Tony Docherty stepped in. He's the assistant at St Mirren for the end of the season. Never have appointed. But apparently it's like Tony Docherty will now take part of with St Mirren, who could play Aberdeen in the former Tony Docherty club derby, who will then play, say, Dundee in the and it's like every club Tony Docherty's been involved in is basically
Kilmarnock.
it's
He was
not
assistant
basically
manager at Kilmarnock.
SPFL, honest to God, it's like almost every club, the Tony Docherty League. Right, I've got a question for you. That corner that burnt down at Central Station, the Union Corner they were trying to call it, that's corner that burnt down, tragically burnt down. Will that be rebuilt before Michael Nicholson leaves Celtic Park as CEO? They reckon it will take at least 10 years to rebuild it. Will he still be there?
Well, the word in the street, and I don't know how much confidence I've got in the word in the street now, and I don't mean the street outside Central Station, right? Gordon Street.
A very classy street, folks, if you're not familiar with it.
Just about outside Central Street, but see, that side of Gordon Street's quite nice, still a bit, up to the Cannon Street. The word in the street with him, with Nicholson, is that he's seen his weeks out, so he's away at the end of the season. That's been the case now for a wee while. So, but confidence now in what you're hearing, it's getting less and less confidence, I suppose, in hearing these things. So, I'm just hoping there's no just wishful thinking, that there was some kind of truth in it being shared a while ago, and I'm hoping that is the case, because the worry would be when he goes, what other fucking yes man did he bring in, right? So on 850 grand plus bonuses.
Yeah, he'd probably get a year's wages for gardening leave. But yeah, that's by the Bible. Yeah. Well, that will sort itself out one way or the other. Do you think the Green Brigade will be back in before the season finishes?
Head says no. They should have been back for the Motherwell game the other week. That was the perfect time.
Yep.
We play St Mirren at home in 2 weeks. That'd be 4 weeks then for playing Motherwell. And there's no further movement. On the pod I listened to, the fella was saying that the safety advisory group are meeting this week. So no doubt that whatever they say, whatever Hargreaves says, whatever. So Head says no, unfortunately. Hart, hopefully they're back for St Mirren game, because it can be an interesting one, couldn't it? If we don't win at Dens, that'll be a fucking interesting one.
So it's a strange, ever-tightening noose stroke, self-fulfilling prophecy. The longer it takes, the harder it gets for the board and Hargreaves to admit they're wrong or concede some ground, because do they really want, even though everybody, team, crowd, Brian Wilson, God bless him, want the Green Brigade back in, does Hargreaves and the Polish really want them back in for the Rangers game and the Hearts game? You know what I mean?
Well, dare I say it then? It wouldn't surprise me if there is a smidgen of hope, they wait to see the result at Dens Park. Because if we lose at Dens Park, it's done. So the St Mirren game will be toxic. And would they want them in when the stadium's going mad at the board? I doubt it. If we beat Dundee at Dens, then they'll go aye. Because I suspect they don't want to hear 2,500 Rangers fans like the New Year game, and with Celtic being pretty quiet large parts of the game. So they maybe want them back for that game, because for once the board isn't the enemy. We're playing Rangers. For once the Green Brigade and also we're turning on the opposition support. So you don't know how their mind works, Desi. It's hard to second guess people like that.
It is. It's a bit like trying to guess when Ralph and Monty are actually going to turn up when they promise you a week they'll be here. But then again, we've managed to get through the full match tonight, so to speak. Hector, as I said, folks, thanks for sticking with us. We never really got to put much hope in your heart, but who knows? It's very much a thing. Again, this has happened quite a few podcasts. Things are up in the air. Every time we think they're going to land the right way up, they just kind of top over and we've got to start all over again. So we'll get 2 games, Hector, before the split, and then the cup game, but real league-wise, 2 games before the split. And then it'll be interesting, Hector, how the split's going to work. Because now you've got 3 teams, 5 games. How are they going to fix it? I mean, how's that going to work? I mean, like, normally Celtic were always usually clear enough that they could factor in final game, Celtic Park. Chances are that's certainly not guaranteed. Chances are you kind of miss that now. You know what I mean?
It's also, it's like, I'd imagine they'd want the three at the top maybe playing each other in the first 2 weeks.
Exactly, getting that out of the way. So that's
Because they won't want them playing title deciders in the last week or two. So I'd imagine the first 2 weeks they'll want, well, that would mean us playing Hearts and Rangers at home 2 weeks in the trot, and Rangers going to Tynecastle the other week. Would they want that? Or maybe they'll squeeze it into the first 3 weeks. Maybe the first 3 games they'll do that. Maybe. They'll get us and Rangers out of the way first, I suspect. That might be the first game. But then you really don't. Do you know, if anything, it's going to have to wait to see how the next 2 weeks goes, right? What's the point? It's going to be like at that point. If it is the new, then whatever. But I wouldn't put money on it being the way it is the new. So
no.
You don't know.
So there you go, folks. That's the conclusion of the night. We just don't know.
We don't know.
The only thing we know is
we know fuck all, Desi. There you go.
It's the Donald Rumsfeld CSC. All we know is what the things we don't know. That's it. The known unknowns. That's all we know. And the unknown unknowns. All right. So thank you very much, folks, for listening. We probably will be back post the Dundee game because it may all go tits up then. We'll wait and see. Big Elvis might do us a favour, but Dundee have had a good season, so it's very much up in the air still. We'll just have to wait and see what Celtic team turns up. But at least it's an afternoon kick-off, Hector, so they'll still not be a wee bit sleepy like they seemed against Dundee United. So that's something. They might have woke up by then.
And it's Easter Sunday. That's a Celtic day, isn't it?
Nice. That's it. Moving on for the Good Friday. Hopefully Easter Sunday. We can rise again on Easter Sunday.
There you go, Desi. There you go. There's the podcast title. Celtic to rise again on Easter Sunday.
That's it. Yeah, with Sinasalo with holes in his hands. That's all we need. And then good luck to Casper Schmeichel, who had his first operation this week. I noticed that. So good luck to Casper. First operation of 2. Doubtful we'll see him again in a Celtic jersey, but best of luck recuperating. All right, folks. Thank you as ever for listening. Please leave your comments, your likes, subscribes, and all the usual places. We always appreciate hearing from you. Please try and check out Ralph's diary at www.etims.net. And Monty has been putting a few financial articles up as well. And then we will catch you up on the next podcast. This left for me to say thank you to Hector. Thank you, Hector.
Thanks, Desi.
Thank you to Monty and Ralph for no turning up. So that was good. My name is Desmond, folks. Take care.
Big Tams of the Gallowgate are proud to sponsor the eTims podcast for season 25-26. Have you lost your way in the football desert in Dundee? Do you know anyone who went to a certain school? Wink wink. Have you ran out of prayers yet? Call Big Tams Samaritans now. Big Tams, helping Celtic ease their stress since 1888.